We're going to begin with a deadly attack on U.S. troops in the Middle East, and the U.S. is vowing to hit back. A drone attack struck an American military outpost in Jordan near the border with Syria yesterday. 3 American soldiers were killed. Nearly 3 dozen others were injured. President Biden says an Iran-backed militia is to blame here, and he said, quote, "We shall respond." Ed O'Keefe is at the White House with the latest. Ed, good morning.
Gayle, good morning. The attack comes as tensions between the U.S. and Iranian-backed proxy militias are on the rise, and it runs the risk of causing Israel's war with Hamas to erupt into a broader regional conflict. U.S. officials say the troops at that outpost in Jordan had little warning of the incoming drone.
The attack came before sunrise early Sunday at an American base in northeast Jordan. CBS News has learned those injured and killed were in sleeping quarters when the armed drone struck. The outpost, known as Tower 22, supports U.S. Special Forces operating inside Syria, where they're under constant threat of attack. President Biden, campaigning in South Carolina on Sunday, blamed Iranian-backed militias and vowed to retaliate.
We lost 3 brave souls in an attack on one of our bases, and we shall respond.
Samantha Vinograd is a former counterterrorism official in the Biden administration.
It is critical that the administration respond quickly and responsibly. But that means thinking about how their actions will be interpreted and carefully reviewing targets so that Iran doesn't overreact and seek to harm more Americans.
American forces have been operating in Syria and Jordan as part of an ongoing mission to root out ISIS. Thousands of troops have been stationed across Iraq ever since the end of the war there. Since the Hamas invasion of Israel in October, U.S. military sites in Iraq and Syria have been attacked more than 160 times. Sunday's deadly attack sparked bipartisan condemnation and swift Republican calls to directly attack Iran now.
Rushing to action in a moment like this would be extremely dangerous.
The Pentagon has yet to identify the dead or their military units pending family notifications. Injuries could increase in the coming hours or days. And this is the largest loss of life for the U.S. military to enemy action since the fall of Afghanistan. Tony?
Ed, thank you very much. For more on what happens next, we spoke earlier to John Kirby, the National Security Council's coordinator for strategic communications. Admiral Kirby, thank you very much for being here. We'll talk about the U.S. response and deterrence, failed deterrence, in just a moment. But first, let's talk what happened. It's been described as a pre-dawn attack on our soldiers as they slept there in Jordan. What else do you know?
Well, we think this was a single drone attack. Again, we're trying to get more information right now, but it looks like it was a single drone attack. It hit a barracks facility where there were troops inside, and given the hour, most likely many of them, if not all of them, were in their beds. We're making sure we're getting the medical care that they need, particularly for those that need to be evacuated off-site. But we're also standing by for the potential numbers of injuries to go up. For instance, if some of them experience concussive symptoms, which would suggest maybe traumatic brain injury. And most importantly, we have to remember there are 3 American families that got the worst possible news over the weekend. And we got to make sure that they and their loved ones, the loved ones of those who were killed, those 3, know that they're going to get all the support that they need.
You know, Admiral, we've got 3 dead soldiers this morning. We've got 2 dead Navy SEALs on a mission in the region because of the conflict. We got an Army pilot in a coma, dozens injured, and more than 160 attacks on American forces there in the region. What do we need to do to make this stop?
We need to continue to make sure that we have, first and foremost, the force posture in place in the region, the military capabilities to defend our troops and our facilities, and to make it clear that these attacks are not acceptable. The president has added force capability to the Middle East. I don't have any force posture changes to announce today, but I can assure you that he'll make the decisions as commander-in-chief as appropriate to make sure we can continue to defend ourselves.
I want to follow up on this question of Iran and Iran-backed. There's no confusion from the White House's point of view about who is ultimately responsible for this, and that is the country of Iran. They're not hitting proxies of ours, they're hitting us. Are we going to hit them at last?
Again, I'm simply not going to get ahead of the president's decision space. We're not looking for a war with Iran. We're not looking for a conflict broader in the region. We're doing everything we can to try to take the tensions down. We will make the right decisions, the appropriate decisions to defend ourselves, our troops, and our facilities. But again, that decision rests with the commander-in-chief, and I'm not going to get ahead of where he is.
Admiral, respectfully, I know we're not looking for a war with Iran, but with 3 dead soldiers this morning, are we not already in one?
I would tell you that we are certainly mindful of the destabilizing behavior and actions of Iran and the way they support these groups, these militia groups in Iraq and Syria, Hamas, Hezbollah, the maritime attacks that they're permitting by the Houthis. We're mindful of the destabilizing behavior and the influence that they have in the region. Again, I'm not going to get ahead of the president and what he might decide or might not decide. We are not interested in a broader conflict in the region. We're not looking for another war, but we absolutely will do what we have to do to protect ourselves.
Admiral Kirby, thank you very much. Our thoughts, as yours are with the families of those 3 fallen U.S. service members. Thank you very much this morning.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Turning now to the fight over the U.S. southern border. After months of negotiations, we may finally be close to a deal in the Senate. Now, here's something we don't see often. It's got support from Republicans and Democrats, including President Biden. But former President Trump does not like it. Scott McFarland is on Capitol Hill with what that could mean for the fragile deal. Scott, good morning.
Nate, good morning. Even the negotiators acknowledge they're running short on time, eager to unveil an agreement that makes changes at the southern border and provides billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine. But now, presidential politics are at play.
For months, the southern border has been the focus of closed-door negotiations on Capitol Hill. This week, a deal could finally be announced.
Whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, people just want a secure border.
Campaigning in South Carolina this weekend, President Biden championed the U.S. Senate's attempts to tighten border security law.
If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly.
CBS News has learned negotiators have talked about giving the president new power to halt border crossings when they surpass a certain threshold, raising the standard to accept asylum seekers while shortening the time of legal review for their cases, and restricting the use of the Immigration Parole Authority. But in Nevada on Saturday, former President Donald Trump asked his Republican allies to block the potential compromise, which would deprive President Biden of an accomplishment.
I said, that's okay, please blame it on me, please. Because they were getting ready to pass a very bad bill.
I am hopeful that we will still have enough Republicans in the Senate who want to fix the problem at the border rather than just do Donald Trump's bidding.
But House Speaker Mike Johnson has warned the plan could be dead on arrival in the Republican-controlled House. And Trump supporters in Congress say the White House already has the powers it needs.
My position is he has every tool at his disposal right now to secure the border. They're just the party of open borders now. That's the problem.
This weekend, House Republicans released articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, alleging Mayorkas has failed to follow immigration law and has breached the public's trust. Democrats in the White House respond, calling it a political ploy, a waste of time, and arguing, Tony, that Republicans want to campaign on immigration issues rather than fix them.
Scott, thank you very much. Now to the latest storm to hit the Northeast, which dumped up to 10 inches of snow over the weekend. And the next system heading toward the West Coast will bring more heavy rain and feet of snow in the mountains. Meteorologist Stephanie Abrams with our partners at the Weather Channel. She is watching it all. Steph, good morning.
Tony, good morning. The heat is on from the plains to the Pacific coast with our highs 20 to 25 degrees above average, even record-setting in Washington, Oregon, and California. The warmth continues through the week, making its way into the Midwest and the Northeast. Now, the West does stay active. We got a strong jet-level winds over the Pacific. This is directing and energizing multiple pieces of energy. This is all going to head to the West Coast along with abundant moisture, and we will see a series of atmospheric rivers through Friday, one that's actually quite expansive and noteworthy on Wednesday. That all translates to 3 to 5 inches of rain and multiple feet of snow from the Sierra to the Rockies. For more in-depth coverage, you can watch the Weather Channel on cable or live on your favorite TV streaming devices. Tony, all this weather is to be expected as winter is the rainy season from Seattle to Los Angeles.
All right, Stephanie Abrams for us. Stephanie, thank you.